It is 5:30, and that is what we're posted for. Good evening, everyone. I will call the meeting to order of the joint select board meeting on February 4th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. Roll call vote, please.
Veronica called present.
Why do I always say that?
It's all right.
Worship and present. Can I just go ahead with mine, or just is he?
John has to call his meeting.
Okay, all right. Then, if you, with your indulgence, Madam Chair, I'll call a meeting of the committee to appoint the Townsend representative to the Neshoba Valley Technical School District Committee to be open. And all those present of the committee, please acknowledge their presence. John Barrett.
William Berg.
And technically, Laurie and Veronica, you are members of the committee too. I know it's a very weird thing, but the committee consists of the moderator, the selectmen, and the Townsend representatives to the North Middlesex School Committee. So,
Okay. Laura Schiffenberg.
And Veronica Cal here.
Okay.
Okay.
And on our appointments, we have 2.1 as 5:30. So I will, except for saying that we are being recorded and the meeting is going to be uploaded to YouTube. And is there anyone else who is recording? If you are, please state so. There is none. Okay, we have another arrival. For this. So I'm going to go right to 2.1, which is our joint meeting, which we have just called to order. And it is to appoint Harrison Matt to the Neshoba Valley Technical School Committee as Townsend's alternate representative effective February 4th, 2025, with the term to expire March 31st, 2027. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And there is a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing or seeing none, I will ask for a roll call vote. Start with
John Barrett, aye.
And Willie, your hand is up.
Yeah. Yes, I just Mr. Hackler, who's also a member of the school committee with me. I thought he was going to be on. I don't know if we needed him or we had a quorum to vote.
We have a quorum because of the two, us being, I guess, represented on your board as well. So
okay.
There's per the town moderator, who's an attorney.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Very
quorum.
good. Very good. Okay, then my vote is yes.
Okay. And
Veronica Cal, yes.
And Laura Schifrin, yes. Congratulations. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you. I look forward to representing the town.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harrison.
Do you want to adjourn your joint meeting?
Yeah, I don't believe we have minutes available right now. I think that's the only other thing we might have had, but I don't believe we have those. So I think there's no other business for the committee to appoint the Townsend representative to the Neshoba Valley Technical High School. I would entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
Okay, so there is a motion, and is there a second from your committee?
I guess I'll second it for the purposes, but
Okay. All right.
all right. Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn the committee meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 You need a roll call vote, please.
Yeah.
You need a roll call vote.
Okay, the roll call vote. Mr. Berg?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Schifrin?
Yes.
Ms. Kell?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank
all right.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
folks.
Have a good evening.
Yep, you too.
At 5:35. The joint meeting is
Call our meeting to order. Start at the top.
effective after the joint meeting. Okay.
Whatever this is. Yeah.
Okay, hello, everyone. This is Laura Schifrin. I'm going to be calling the meeting, the continuation. Well, it's not the continuation. We adjourned a joint meeting and we are now going into just the the select board's meeting at 5:36 PM on February 4th, 2025. Could I have a roll call?
Veronica Cal present.
Laura Schifrin present. Would you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to thank all of our veterans and all of our military currently serving. May they stay safe, and all of our first responders.
Could I give a thank you as well?
Yes.
I would like to thank the hardworking folks at the highway department, parks and cemetery, and the facilities department for all the hard work they do, and clearing the parking lots, the sidewalks, and the roads so that everyone can navigate the road safely. So I thank you for their hard work. It's not glamorous, they're working all hours of night while we're safely in bed, asleep. So I really appreciate all the work they do, and I just want to thank them for that.
Great, thank you, Nelson, for saying that. Veronica, did you want anything?
Nothing to add tonight. No, thank you.
I'd like to recognize Dave and Don Hayes for being here with us tonight. And I don't see anybody else online. So again, this meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. And is there anybody else recording the meeting? See anybody else or hear that? 1.4 Chairman's additions or deletions. In the desk of the accounting office and assessor's office, and Vulcan commercial gas stove from senior center. We're going to have, I guess that's part of correspondence in 4.1.
Surplus request.
Surplus request.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So that is being added. That was not posted before today. 1.5. We don't have. Can I entertain that this be moved to the next meeting on February 18th?
Do we need a motion for that?
I'd just like to note that it's going to be moved or tabled to the next meeting, whichever you want to do. They're not in our hand yet.
All right, so we're moving the minutes for 128 and 130 to 2/18/2025.
Yes, please. Second.
Oh, you want a motion to do that?
Well, it sounded like you moved it. So I'm good.
Okay.
We both agree that the minutes will be at the next meeting. Thank you. Okay, we had our appointments and 3 appointments of officials. Personal full-time 3.1. Appoint Robert Templeton as Townsend alternate to the Nashua Rivers Wild and Scenic Stewardship Council effective February 4th, 2025, as an alternate member for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2027. Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Thank you. And I'll second. Any discussion?
No.
None. Roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, yes.
And Laura Schifrin, yes. 3.2, appoint Alan Ross as a per diem van driver for the Townsend Senior Center with effective start date February 17th, 2025.
So moved.
And I will second. Any discussion? None. Thank you to Alan Ross. 3.3, appoint Susan Gerken as COA representative. That's Council on Aging representative to the Cable Advisory Committee, effective February 4th, 2025, until completion of the Comcast contract. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Yeah, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, yes.
And Laura Schiffern, yes. And thank you to Susan Gerken. 3.4, reappoint David Werlin as a trustee to the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust, effective February 4th, 2025, with a term to expire June 30th, 2027. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And I will second for discussion.
Yes, for discussion, I believe the end date is 02/04/2027 because we are 2-year terms. I'm not sure why it was put on here. I understand it's the end of the fiscal year, but it's a 2-year term.
From the appointment date.
Yes.
I accept that amended motion
All right.
of the maker.
Um,
Okay, so are good, roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, yes.
And Laura Schiffern, yes, as amended. Okay, for meeting business, 4.1, surplus request from facilities, old filing cabinets to be scrapped. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the surplus request from the Facilities Department for filing cabinets and desks, for filing cabinets, from the Accounting Office and Assessor's Office, a desk, and the Vulcan Commercial Gas Stove from the Senior Center.
I'll second the motion. Nelson, did you want to speak to it?
Yes, so the filing cabinets are, some really old ones from downstairs. They got some newer ones from the old water building. So these ones are kind of rusty and, you know, it's reached its useful life. And there's also a desk that we, got from the old water, building. So the one that's replacing is kind of, also old, not much useful life left in it. And then the gas stove was purchased fairly recently for the senior center for their kitchen. But once they started using it, it really wasn't what they were looking for in terms of their needs from an operational perspective. So they're looking to just, you know, surplus it and sell it off.
Because that one has to be put up for bid, is there anything else that we need to do because of this?
How old is it and where did?
5 months, it's in the packet.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's under 10,000, so it was suggested that we put it on municipal bid, would be my suggestion as well. And we're gonna start the auction at $1,200, so that, you know, we get at least, you know, it's in very good shape, so there's some value left on it. So we're hoping to get at least $1,200 for it.
Are they replacing it?
They have, correct.
They've already
They already
replaced
did.
it.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
With some grants and donations, I believe.
okay. What was the original cost?
I think it was right around $3,600.
Okay, so you're going out to bid.
Yeah. To
Oh,
sell
and
it.
that's the minimum bid.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're hoping maybe a local restaurant or something, you know,
Oh.
that's in town or close to town and can make use of it.
Oh,
It's a very nice commercial grade
That's nice.
gas stove, and, you know, very high end. So, you know, we're hoping that local restaurant will make good use of it.
Okay. So is that gets posted?
Yeah,
Explain the process so that everybody knows.
so once, if this surplus request is approved by you guys, I would then post pictures on Municipid, which is a website just for municipalities, they're getting rid of, most of the time it's like vehicles, but there's always equipment and various other items that they're looking to get rid of. So, we've gotten rid of, fire vehicles, and other vehicles, in the past through this website.
Okay. Will you vote?
I am.
Okay, roll call, vote.
Veronica Cal, yes.
And Laura Schiffern, yes. So 4.2 is next, but before we go there, I see William is here. Is he here for the joint meeting?
I think he was. Hey, Will, we actually finished up the appointment for Harrison, right, a little after 5:30.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yep, so you are dismissed.
Sorry.
Stay
little
if
wet.
you
You can
want.
stay if you want.
I mean, it is riveting. So
We just thought we would let you.
Yeah.
No.
It is, isn't it?
But we'll see you at the Thursday night school budget.
I'll see you on
meeting.
Thursday night. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, 4.2, special town meeting, Monday, March 10th. Oh, Nelson, you want to take this?
Sure,
Well, do we want a motion or
This
do we
is-
just want to talk about it?
I can talk about it now and then we'll.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm good either way. You've handed to
good.
Nelson. Let's
No,
go.
I'm good. Make the motion.
I move to open the warrant for the special town meeting of March 10th, 2025 on February 5th, 2025 and close the warrant on February 17th, 2025.
And I second. Go ahead.
So this is the special town meeting that Ashby and Pepperell are looking to do, and it's related to the school budget, to get an override vote in place. I have received confirmation from Ashby and Pepperell that their select boards have approved that date.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're all gonna do it at
Same night.
Yep, at 7 p.m. So that is the big item for that night, but we can certainly add a few more articles just to get some things accomplished. I know there's, a couple things that, we can add to it as well. So,
Are you okay with adding things?
Yeah, I have two things that I want to add.
Okay, I'll let you go first.
The funding, the additional funding for the fire truck contract.
Okay.
I want to put that on the agenda.
and I did find out from the vendor today that they would be okay with that timeline. There was actually a concern when this was first brought up that we would lose our place. But I actually was in contact with the vendor today and they're okay with us doing our special town meeting, putting it to a vote, and
Okay.
they'll accept the paperwork after.
After, assuming it passes. So,
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Um,
I let Dawn know about it too. So.
Okay, for the special funding. Any comments?
I would say, I read the capital planning, bylaws, and I believe if we can get that committee meeting, they can have a recommendation for that. They can go off cycle. It doesn't have to always be a recommendation from capital planning.
Okay, sure.
I believe we'll have met and closed our
well,
meetings by
that
then.
might
Our
be-
first one is Friday.
Right, so that might be something to get on that,
Okay,
to identify. I read it, I'll reread it to get my, just to confirm. But it sounds like we can do another capital planning, that way it gets onto the capital planning list as at the proper value.
Mhm.
The other article would be for overtime for salaried employees for winter operations.
Okay. We need that.
So,
And I believe, you wanted to explore the option of, the town clerk being an
Appointed versus
position.
elected.
Yeah, so that could be a potential article as well. There is a very specific, way it has to be worded
Mhm.
by the state, but I can work with
But
Adam,
Adam,
yeah, on that, so,
okay.
I know there's a desire to potentially make that appointment.
Right, and this with what's going on with the resignation and having a short term, somebody be elected, this is a good time to do that.
Mhm.
I mean, it opens a door for doing that, for sure.
Right.
Um, what else did I have?
In terms of for this special town meeting, I can't think of anything else.
It was just the
You're right.
town clerk and then
Oh, you wanted to maybe a general fund budget override, right?
well, I want that included. Well, are we doing one article for override or two articles for override? I think that if it's two articles, it's confusing. But I think that, that we need,
Yeah,
I don't, we haven't met with the school committee. I don't know what those dollars are yet.
right.
And so, but I think that, well, we're discussing trash later. There are, other things, that I think we need to talk about.
well, do you think though that they would be coming from different sources? And if they're coming from different sources, should they be separate?
The source that the override is coming from is tax dollars. So the source of the funding is the same. It's just how much are we asking for an override? Are we asking for just the schools? Or are there going to be two override questions?
What do
You
think?
know,
I,
and we don't know yet.
yeah, it's kind of like, we don't have the budget fully done yet, but we know there was a sort of a gap this year. And so we will have to identify exactly what that total is, apply it, see what the new rates are. And the discussion is gonna have to be, do we want the trash included in a tax override so that we're not paying separate for bags? Or are we gonna continue with the pay-as-you-throw program? There's a lot still up in the air. It has to come through with a decision of how we're gonna present it. It's early right now.
I think it is early, but we do have trash on our,
Right.
agenda here.
Okay,
Because we'll talk about that when we get there, but
and we'll just keep track of how many spots we want on the warrant, because we're looking at, yes, we have time, but on the, our meeting's on the 18th, which is the day after the warrant closes.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure that we have all the spots that we think we should have.
why are we
By the
closing it
17th.
on the 17th then? Why don't we close of business or
On the 18th?
midnight, 11:59 PM on the 18th?
I was hoping to sort of close it the day before so that, on our, select board meeting, which is on the 18th, we can sort of discuss everything.
Do we have the option of reopening the warrant and changing it
At our meeting?
at our meeting? If we don't, then we're closing this at the wrong time.
Yeah,
Right.
because certainly we could delete things.
No, once the warrant is closed, well, maybe we
Well,
can.
I was gonna
No.
say that you had this discussion with the last
We
warrant.
did, didn't we?
Yes, and you can post it, but you can still make those changes until it's actually posted.
We can. Other people
As the
can't.
board of selectmen.
As the board of
Yeah,
selectmen, other people
But
can,
that gives you the
right.
opportunity to continue to work on it when nobody else
can add things to it.
add things to it,
Yeah.
Okay.
unless you
Yep.
decide.
Then
Yeah,
we-
so
we stay with our
I'm good with the 17th and
Yeah.
the final on the 18th at our meeting.
Yeah.
Right?
And we have to, I have to back out 2 weeks, so, the special town meeting is on March 10th, which means we need to post it, all around town by February 24th. So,
We have a few days.
Yeah, so-
From our meeting.
right.
Mhm.
But, you know, I'll certainly prep as much as I can that way. You know, it's just a quick turnaround for town council at that point. And plus, it's only a handful of articles, so
Yeah, yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's relatively a quick turnaround for everyone. Especially when I'm prepping things ahead of time. So that gives us time, you know, almost 2 weeks to, you know, add a few more articles if we want to it.
Okay, all
So,
right.
yep.
So are we good to vote that motion on the dates?
For the warrant?
Yes, which is
Yes,
again,
yes.
the 5th and ending on the 17th.
And we have the articles put in pretty much that we want.
Yeah, and, you know, we can certainly,
Talk more between.
yeah.
All right,
Roll call?
Veronica Cal, yes?
Laura Schiffern, yes. Thank you. 4.3, disclosure by non-elected municipal employee of financial interest and determination by appointing authority, Carol Hofstas. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the disclosure by non-elected municipal employee of financial interest and determination by the appointing authority submitted by Carol Hofstas.
And I'll second. And I believe that has to do with,
Her big on the finance committee.
yeah, on the
Yeah,
finance
but
committee and
that
a
should be-
registrar, right?
No, she works the elections.
She works the election.
Right, so usually that would be, because the appointing is John Barrett, it would be approved by John Barrett.
Finance committee is appointed by the moderator.
Right.
I had a question about that too.
So it's John Barrett that has to approve this motion and not us?
He's the appointing authority for the FinCom.
So he can sign the form that goes in, so John should be the one looking at that form.
Oh, okay.
I agree with that. I mean, we can,
I did it last year for myself, and that's the process we use, because John is the appointing authority for finance committee.
right.
Okay,
Okay, well,
can the record reflect that that will go to John Barrett as the appointing authority?
All right, I withdraw the motion.
And I withdraw a second. Now to the good stuff. 4.4. You want to start, Nelson, or did you want to start? I've not seen anything. Did we get anything?
Oh, yeah, we got,
we did, it's in the SharePoint folder, and I'm happy to start.
I think that would be
Apparently mine's
good.
not working.
Okay, no worries. So we did receive a pricing proposal from GLE Shaw. And as requested, it's actually, it's 2 versions. There's a all-in price, sort of the way it's done now. It's just one price and they collect everything in town. The other one, he breaks it down, which is, there's a base fee, which is his collection fee. So that's, you know, for his labor, his trucks, what have you. And then he will charge us for the tonnage that's actually collected from the trash and recycling. So for the all-in pricing for year 1, it's $770,460. He did also break up per building for municipal buildings. So, you know, it's all in here in the proposal, but it's roughly, if I take out the recycling center, which is a separate entity and how they're billed, and there's a revolving fund to take care of that, it's roughly about $10,000 a year for all the municipal buildings. So when you add that up, it's about $780,000 for the.
I have
First
a question about that. Is it separate or is he just itemizing what is included in the grand total? Because it says, anyway, I I wasn't sure exactly whether the 10,000 you're talking about is included in the 770.
I don't think so, because further down, he does list municipal buildings per month charge, so I think he's,
1155.
yeah, I think he's
Yeah, I
broken
see
it down.
that. Okay, so you think that's separate, okay.
And again, that 1155 includes, he added up the charges for the recycling center, which should be backed out because the recycling center, it's all paid for by the
The
revolving.
revolving fund.
Yeah, so again, it's roughly about 10,000 a year for all the municipal buildings. So it's a slight decrease compared to the 820 that we're currently on now. And I also looked at Lunenburg's price proposal because they actually went up to bid over the summer, and Shaw's was the low bidder for Lunenburg, and pricing was pretty similar. So you know, there wasn't really a big difference between what he quoted Lunenburg and what he's quoting
How many
us.
households in Lunenburg?
I don't know exactly, but I think their population is right around 11,000 or so, so slightly larger than us. But you know, I would say
So he's come down for this fiscal year.
By
Yeah,
about
there-
40K.
and there is you know, year 2 and 3 does go up slightly, not a ton. I think it was.
Yeah, it does, 23,000, whatever.
Well, yeah, it did go up, but I wouldn't say it's you know, exorbitant amount of money. Just see what money. Yeah, it's only 3% year over year, and then from year 2 to year 3 is
Yeah, then it's back to
3.15%. So
They have 1,000 more. Lunenburg has 1,000 more households than us.
okay,
4,529
so they're a little bit denser.
versus 3,436.
Yeah, I think they're denser.
And there were no other bids, right?
No,
There was no RFP.
Well, you mean from Lunenburg or Lunenburg? They did have
Lunenburg did an RFP.
correct,
We did not.
right? Yeah, and they were definitely the low bidder.
And how do they have a sealed bid opening?
That's just what, Shaw just gave them a sealed envelope. It wasn't a sealed bid.
I was gonna say, because
Opening. I
RFPs
mean-
are sealed, but.
Yeah, it
you know, the
wasn't,
bids that come in on an RFP.
they called it that, but it wasn't technically a response to a proposal.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I kind of did some quick math and evaluated both proposals. I think I mentioned it at the joint meeting when we had with the Board of Health. An all-in price, we're kind of insulated, you know, for budgeting reasons. I have a number that I can present to everyone, and we know what the costs are. So there's that. The other proposal where it's a base fee and then we pay for all the tonnage. I realize if the residents threw out less trash, you know, we probably would be paying less than the all-in price. But the reverse can happen, which is, you know, suddenly the tonnage spikes, because actually in this proposal, recycling is actually more expensive than actual trash.
That was not my impression of it years ago when we started.
I think the market has changed, so I'm certainly not here to advocate for recycling less, but it certainly would cost the town more. So if the tonnage suddenly spikes, there's no ceiling on what our expenses would be. So it's a gamble and risk, and given our financial situation, I would feel uncomfortable. You know.
So the purple bags go away.
No,
they
No,
do
no,
not.
under this, it still would stay.
Oh, So we're double paying?
No, no,
The
no, no,
tax-
no.
the tax-
This
Right,
is,
it's everybody's question. It sounds like you're double dipping because it's in the budget, but you're funding the budget, the operating budget with the pay-as-you-throw back revenue.
But it's only partially funded,
It's only-
so there's really no double,
there is no
Right.
double
there is no
dipping.
double.
The revenue collected from the bank is helping fund the revenue. If there's not enough revenue in the general fund.
So you
Yes, now,
still, do you still have to have purple bags?
Yes.
On anything?
Unless we put the entire amount of this contract on the override with the schools, so that the override is paying for both trash and the schools next year.
Yeah.
If we don't do that, what we did this year is we took the purple bags and then we took 200 to 300,000 from ARPA funds to pay that 820K contract. There's no double dipping anywhere.
Right.
The issue is that people in town are not supporting the purple bags and therefore are paying for private pickup, even though we, the town, are still paying for trash pickup at their houses. So we don't have ARPA funds at all left for next year. So we have, if we say 40,000 a month is what gets spent on purple bags, and you multiply that by 12, you get 480,000. This is 780,000. We need 300,000, and it either has to come from tax revenue, meaning an increase in taxes to cover it, or it comes from a fee assessed to every household. Those are our options.
And if I may, there were two other places money came from. We moved $146,000 from reserve, from the stabilization fund to pay for this year. And there was also a $100,000 transfer from ambulance funds into pay fire EMS, so that we freed up another $100,000 in the general fund to use towards paying the trash.
Towards the trash and the schools. It wasn't, it was, it was just what we needed.
Right, it was what we needed, and we pulled from many different places to pull this together, including the effort. So I think that's a piece that we need to start.
Well, and considering that, all that, it makes sense to have them together in the vote.
Let's think about it. But
So I have
let's see
some,
what the schools say.
I do have some thoughts on that. If you were to break it up, one vote for, school budget override and the other for a general fund override, that kind of gives folks an option. Maybe they're more supportive of one versus the other, but when you lump it all together, it becomes difficult to discern who, it becomes difficult for someone to support it if they're only supportive of part of that. So, it's just the reality. I think last time you guys, the tech high school and the
We did split out the two
Yeah.
schools.
yeah, and there was, I guess both votes were so close that,
Very.
but I can see how, certain families might favor one versus the other, depending on if they have kids in either.
But how does that benefit everyone?
I mean, it doesn't,
To
but,
have a favorite out of it when you know that the whole community needs both.
right,
Right.
it's just about giving, people the choice, I guess is what it comes down to.
Well, who are you choosing? I mean, where's the choice? How do you choose just the schools when you still have to run the town?
Right.
They're not gonna work without each other.
But,
I'm not saying that you're wrong to do it in two. I'm just saying,
I want to hear what the schools have to say, and I want to hear what the other towns are doing. Before making a decision one way or the other.
yeah, absolutely. And, I think I mentioned before, a lot of cities and towns, the trash expenses, it's a lot of towns, they split it. The pay-as-you-throw revenue only covers a portion of the expenses, and then the rest is on the taxpayers.
I agree with it, with doing it that way, but for us, for the portion of taxpayers, we don't have the money to pay it, or I would say, why, of course, but we don't have the money unless we have an override that supports the town doing that. We just don't have it. Unless we lay off staff, close buildings, which is not my choice, but that's the other place you get it from. It has to come from somewhere in the existing general budget. And it's not just there. So
my only, when I'm speaking or giving my opinion now, is just so that it's out there, okay? Is that an override is only for that year. But doesn't guarantee that you're gonna have money the following year for those same items.
it doesn't. That is true, but it's likely that it will be there. It's like for a while anyway. I mean, yeah, there was a trash override in 2005 or something, 2001, I don't know, it was a long time ago. And we managed to fund trash through the general budget up until now. It's been a struggle the past 5 years to keep that going.
And when was the last override for the school?
Around 2013 or so. 2011, 2013, 2009, there was an override for the school back then. Not a debt exclude. Oh, there have been plenty that didn't pass, but as far as ones that did pass, it was after my children graduated. So it was 09, 11, 13, somewhere in there. And then we also had a debt exclusion, I believe, to fund the schools, the building of the high school.
But an override is a permanent
Tax.
well, it's a permanent increase.
It permanently raises the tax rate.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, with taxes and the tax levy, there is the 2.5 is where we are. We have a big gap between there and the top level that you can charge.
And we don't have enough growth in this town to absorb anything.
Growth doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't track
It
directly.
doesn't track it. The pieces that we have to struggle with is, and I'm going to say where I'm on it, it's kind of like the income raises are getting tighter, and we're trying to promote town budgets that are increasing over the increase in our deposits into our accounts. It's kind of like you've got a population that is getting squeezed by higher bills, higher invoices.
Yeah.
And we have, in Massachusetts, we have Prop 2.5. So you're limited into what the maximum you can increase over the last year's levy. It's last year's taxes plus new growth, all of those things. So, but it doesn't mean that there's not room where between the top level, because the real estate values have gone so high, there's room to grow and not go above the maximum tax. Proposition 2.5 is very complex in their calculations and how it's applied. But a 2.5 override doesn't get you there. We had a discussion at the last meeting, the plan going forward, having some estimates a couple years out. We could see what an override would do and how it would apply. And we should ask the school for the same thing. What's next year's budget? What's the year after that going to look like? So that we can have an idea in our planning. If we ask for an override, is there something that we're not going to come back in the next year?
But by the same token, you probably have heard the school district talk about special education. It's very difficult to predict how many kids have those special needs every year. You could budget for something in August, and then either a kid suddenly has a need that you need to now take care of, or new kids move in and they have certain challenges that needs to be addressed. So how do you predict those sort of things? So it's very difficult, and I think that's where a lot of the school budgetary issues are coming from, is from the special ed side. You hear it time and time again that in all these presentations with the school district.
There's no hope of getting any dollars back from the state or federal in relation to the original contract.
So there is something called, I think, what do they call
The
it?
regional contract.
It's called the Student Opportunity Act, and I think there's one more year left in it. So people are saying in FY 27 there may be some relief.
The Student Opportunity Act, yeah, it targeted gateway cities, which we are not. It upped their funding.
Yeah.
So this, I
And
think,
that's where the money went.
yeah. So there's one more year left in that. So once that is done, I think they'll hit the reset button, and hopefully regional schools will
Get their funds back?
get enough traction with the legislature to, change the formula and give us some money. So we're kind of limping the last few years of the, the Student Opportunity Act, with the hopes that the formula will change.
Okay. What's your pleasure on 4.4, which is the Shaw's contract?
We're just really discussing it. I don't think there's anything necessarily to vote on. I'm glad we were able to have the conversation and talk about it.
I lean
Well, it
towards
looks
the
like it's
full
gonna be a warrant.
service. I lean towards the full service contract.
I would as well. And it also puts,
I would as well.
yeah,
Make it easy.
it puts some of the risk onto Shaw's, because there's no upper limit on how much they would collect. They can collect as much as they need to, and it doesn't increase our contract amount.
It does mean that if we don't have an override to get the extra funding over and above what we get from purple bags, there either needs to be a fee instituted for all households. And given that we have CPA coming next year as well, we will have a structure in place to charge fees. So we can just put 2 fees on that bill. One for trash and one for CPA.
And I've already started to have staff look at it. I sort of put their bug in their ear a few weeks ago, but I formally requested them to explore the option to see, is there extra software programming involved, any additional cost, and also to look into, this is a fee now. What if someone doesn't pay it? Are there late fees attached with it? Is it handled similarly to how real estate taxes are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the questions that I need to ask and research.
I think what you could go back to Shaw's with is comparing the Lunenburg contract to ours, because ours should be a fourth. I mean, if they have 4,500 and we have 3,100, we have about, a quarter less than them. Why is ours that much higher than theirs? I don't know what Lunenburg's contract is, the most recent, but that's the one thing I would broach going back to Shaw's. Is this their best number?
I'll need to look at the Lunenburg numbers, but I believe
Is this on par with what, given the number of households in Townsend compared to the number of households in Lunenburg, is this trash contract on par with the trash contract that they gave to Lunenburg? That would be my question.
I'll take a look at it, but just quickly looking at it, it looks like Lunenburg's is higher than ours, the total price. which makes sense.
Significantly, like,
I think it's right around 900 or so, 900,000.
theirs is 900,000
Yeah, thereabouts.
For 100, for 1,000.
and ours is 780.
Yep.
So that's 120 less.
That totally makes sense. No, doesn't make sense. But
It's well, that's 10%.
Yeah.
10%.
Yeah, but it's,
Oh, yeah,
but you're
that's
talking about
300,000.
25%
But
difference in the amount of
I-
households.
I don't have the contracts. I would look at, are they quoting us using our existing pickup methods, which is barrels versus toters? Is
Right.
Lunenburg toters? Because
Yeah.
there'd be an extra person not on the truck, which could do it. It's kind of, there's still those options, I think, that are out there. But
There was a slight typo that I noticed in the Shaw contract, which was, this was with toters. I don't think that's, I think
Oh,
it's
it says that on top.
yeah, I don't think that's accurate. I think it's just a typo. It was something that was discussed,
It
I
was
believe.
talked about,
Yeah,
yeah,
but it would have costed more money. But
We'll find out.
yeah.
I have a question on the, in the contract, the description for recycling center.
Mhm.
They pick up the recycling center?
Uh,
The Shaws pick
Some
up?
things.
yeah, you can pay to have like a bulky item disposed of.
Yeah,
So you pay a fee, a resident or whoever, and then,
except for mattresses and box springs.
well, there's a separate fee for that. I don't think Shaw's picks that up.
Right, they don't pick that up.
So this is their fee for all things like that.
So they pick up furniture, couches, chairs, tables, bureaus, okay?
Mhm.
Do they pick those up curbside as part of recycling?
No, we got the-
recycling center,
you have to
they
go.
have dumpsters up there, or they have the 30-yard. And we go up there, we pay our fee to recycle center. We load our stuff into the dumpster, we drive away. When that dumpster is full, recycle fee, Board of Health will call and have that.
And
And
the,
Shaw's takes it.
and the monies paid to Shaw's to pick that up
Right.
is paid by the fees that we
Come
pay
into-
to the
yeah.
recycling center. So they have a revolving fund that
Okay.
cash goes into, so they have the money to pay
To pay
this.
for the
Yep.
pickup.
Yep, it's essentially self-sustaining.
Right. So which is why Nelson pointed out that these funds should have been removed from the total of the 1155.
Alright. So full-time board has two proposals and.
Okay.
And then on these, moving on. 4.5. Contract for 2 new copiers approved at the January 20th special town meeting. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the contracts for 2 new copiers for the town hall as approved in the 1/28/2025 special town meeting, and to authorize town administrator Nelson Mui as signatory on behalf of the select board.
Second. Discussion.
I'm just wondering if the amount on here is consistent with what was on the town meeting warrant, and if there's an issue with that.
So there is a $200 increase,
Yeah,
and that was because I had to tweak the composition of the copiers. We were originally quoted 2 color versions, but the maintenance, the per page maintenance for the color copies is very expensive. And, we've lived with 2 black and white copiers for years now, so My suggestion was we can save a little bit money on, the ongoing maintenance, because toner and other things are very expensive for color copiers. So, we just have, we have one of each now. And surprisingly, the black and white copier is actually a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Yep.
It has a fax line, and I think it's because of other features.
Yeah.
But the question is, this 14,000, I thought it was 13,000.
It was 13,900, and that was the original quote. And then after the meeting, I kept thinking about it, and it turned out that the quote originally was for 2 color,
Which was less than what we're paying.
Yeah, so this extra $200 or so, I'm just gonna have it taken out of MIS to cover the difference.
Yeah, but I'm still in what Veronica's saying. Why wouldn't you have, I understand the maintenance may be more and probably the color ink is more in the long run to have 2 of them. For sure, because ink is very expensive. So you're talking about a $500 difference. So do you have 2 that are black and white in color, and then you have an extra 500 for maintenance or for buying ink? Do we have any idea how much the ink is? There's $500 here for the one that's just black and white. Difference between the color.
Right. I think over the long run, we're probably gonna save money because, I think I would be very judicious about when we would print in color, given how expensive the ink is. It's there's a quarterly fee attached to this, and it's per page, and that fee includes all the maintenance and all the toner as well.
I was gonna ask if there was like a yearly contract.
Yeah,
Service contract.
so it's per page, and so it's for color it's 5 cents a page, but for black and white it's half a penny. So it's 10 times more expensive for color. So I think having one color copier is nice to have versus 2, because I think when you have 2, people will probably not be as judicious with printing in color as if we just have one up here, so we kind of can control who's printing in color.
I think this is fine. I just wanted to know where the dollars over and above what was approved at town meeting was going to come from.
To be honest, I think it's gonna come from the lack of printed color on it. You're gonna save money by just printing black and white, and I think that's why.
In the long run, yes.
In the long run, in the higher price, but because we're paying quarterly per page, the savings will come in, because we're not printing color right now.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm good with not color.
Yep.
Just,
And as I mentioned, the difference between what was voted at town meeting and this price, which is roughly $200, I'll pay for the difference out of MIS.
okay.
So.
And
And both copiers are on its last leg. Don will tell you.
I tried to.
Yeah, it is, it's true.
Broken.
All
Yeah,
right, so,
it's literally on its last leg. It couldn't come soon enough. I wish it was here tomorrow.
okay, so and they do dispose of what the old ones, they take them with them?
Correct. It's so old that there's really no value to it. So the fact that they're going to take it away is
Yes.
it's a
Or
plus.
something.
It's just like when you buy a new fridge and they take the old one away. There's really no value at all to the old item. So yep, they'll take it away.
Any further discussion on the copiers? Hearing none. Roll call vote,
Veronica Kelly, yes.
and Laura Schiffern, yes. 4.6. Contract for the 100,000 per PRC grant for the kids' country playground. Yes, is there a motion?
I move to approve the contract for the $100,000 park grant for the kids' country playground and authorize town administrator Nelson Wee as signatory on behalf of the select board.
And you second that. Discussion?
I have no discussion.
Okay, roll call.
Veronica Kell, yes.
And Laura Schiffern, yes. 4.7.
This is on the, well, I think that the only thing we have to do right now is, they need to establish, if I read this right, a mailing list for information. Maybe you want to talk about it. And so I think we need to move to have, just to, I don't know if it requires a motion, we can make a motion, just have someone from town on this list. So that we get the information, and then on the 18th, by March 18th, we have to submit comments on this document. And so I figured we could do that at the first meeting in March.
Okay.
So if I'm looking at this right. Four entities shall notify the departments by Tuesday of the individuals for inclusion on the electronic distribution list to be established for this matter, limited to legal counsel and named support staff.
Yeah, so
Oh, so that would just be the TA and council?
So
Or
yeah, so we
department
need to determine by now who is the person to get this information. And then by March 18th, departments otherwise invite comments and data from a broad range of stakeholders, which is, I believe, why we got this too. The departments will accept written comments and data on this matter, including comments and data on the questions contained in the order until the close of business on Tuesday, March 18th.
So I looked at this at a glance and originally I thought that all the department heads should be notified of this, and if they had comments, to bring it back like to the town administrator.
No. This is, well, do you want to talk about what this is for?
I'm trying to make heads or tails of it myself. I know it has to do with the right of way and utility poles and double poles.
I think they're changing the way what can hang on a pole. That's the way I understood this. I could be wrong, but Verizon, Unitil, or the cable company, you could have. It's how things are on poles and where poles are. So they issued an order opening an inquiry to explore utility pole attachment, conduit access, double pole, and related considerations applicable to utility work conducted on public rights of way in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. These departments share jurisdiction over utility poles, blah, 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 blah. A memorandum of agreement entered into by the agencies to facilitate shared jurisdiction. So I just think we should know about this. I don't know that we're going to be changing poles or doing anything, but we should be aware of what's going on.
And
What about highway too?
I can certainly let them know about it too. This is kind of so I was going to talk later about the Municipal Empowerment Act that Governor Healy has introduced, and one of the items in there is about double poles.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been supposedly a hot topic item for many years now. I think it was somewhere along the lines of these double poles are in a lot of communities, and they're having a hard time getting them removed because everyone's sort of playing hot potato of who it kind of belongs to. So I feel like this is all connected to the double pole conversations that are being had at the state level, and especially
Well, who puts up the poles?
it's utility companies.
So it's either like a Unitel or an electric company or, Verizon?
And they all have agreements.
Please.
If you go around, you can check by what the plates and numbers are on the poles.
Who owns them?
Depend who owns them. And then they're the primary owner of the pole. The order in which different utilities have to be placed on the pole, like the electric has got to be at the top and the next one down has got to be so many feet away. So the electric doesn't cause interference with anything else. One pole may be owned by the utility, the very next one in line could be owned by another utility. The third pole in a row could be still a third utility. There's no uniformity on which pole belongs to who, except when that utility was installed years ago. The double pole business is like for years, I don't even know if it's still there, right across the street. There was a pole that was installed, some of the utilities redid their wires on it, but the broken or damaged or old pole was still there with some utilities on it, because they all have to coordinate. It's your pole, I need to give you permission to move my equipment onto your, et cetera, et cetera.
So isn't it more between them versus the town?
But, well,
Who
but the
doesn't have any
work
poles?
is done in our
Yeah.
town. We don't own the poles. So it would be good to know that they're coming in to
Oh.
change all the poles or to,
Well, there's that, and also since, I mean, I was just reading this in the contract for the, Unitil, not Unitil, Comcast contract, that utilities actually have to get permission from the town to work on a pole in the town,
Okay.
especially if it affects a right of way, or if they have to dig the street up because there's a buried utility. I know for a fact Comcast is required, if they have to open up the road to do work on a Comcast cable, they foot the bill
For the
for it. It's
repair.
their responsibility. They have to make it good back to the way it was before they opened it.
we used to have to, okay, all the road opening permits, just
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
5 years ago, and the select board turned that over to highway.
Highway.
So that we didn't have this whole list of road opening permits
So,
to sign, and it wouldn't hold up the work that was being done.
In addition to that, they have to coordinate, like if there's a new development.
Yeah.
Like I saw at your planning board meeting, Kevin Smith wants to do a project up near the border. If there's no poles out that far.
Yeah.
The utilities now have to sit down and go, well, I'll put the pole in, but you pay for this and that. Or it's gotta go underground depending on what the bylaws and zoning.
right, because we do have underground utilities.
So
But
things,
ultimately, they have to be responsible to the town.
Is there a permit process for that?
Not so much a permit process that the town's
Notification.
involved with. The last one I was ever involved with years ago, they have to get permission from you to be able to do the work, but the permitting comes under state
Guidelines?
regulations. It's a mess, so I can see why somebody at the state level would want to be having some kind of a group think about it, is how can we make this better?
and this is with the transition to clean energy that's coming over the course of the next X number of years for the state. It's,
It's a lot.
so over the next several years, substantial electric distribution infrastructure investments are planned in part to facilitate the clean energy transition in the Commonwealth, including the deployment of right-of-way and pole-mounted electric vehicle supply equipment.
If the state's going to take
Similarly-
control of installing charging stations for electric vehicles,
Broad,
they're gonna-
Yeah, broadband infrastructure expansion and upgrades are also planned throughout the state. So this is just, who do we want on the mailing list,
So the
first
building
of all?
inspector's not involved in anything.
No,
I don't think so.
no, the building inspector would not be.
So
So who do we put on the mailing list? That's what the question is.
the town administrator.
Yeah,
I think that
Yeah.
Nelson should be, it says legal counsel, and I don't know if legal counsel needs to be on this. But we could.
He may just find out what they know, because he does so many cities and towns. He may be well aware of all of this and who's doing it in each town. Yeah, just ask him that. What are they doing?
So they're just making a mailing list, and that's all we need to do first. And then we need to read through this and see if there's any comments.
okay.
And those are due March 18th.
But this itself actually came in an email to us.
Yes, it did.
I saw that in the email.
Yeah, it did come in an email. So I make a motion that we have the town administrator added to the distribution list for this.
Second. No further discussion. Roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
Unless Nelson, you thought there should be someone else on it.
Nope, I think my
Okay.
office would be appropriate.
And then you certainly can solicit any information from somebody you think might have some
Mhm.
for us.
And then can we put on the agenda for March 4th or whatever it is, first meeting in March, a discussion of any comments that need to be added to this? And the memorandum is attached.
Okay, work session. 5.0 Argos projects. Any update?
Not at the moment. There's something over the senior center related to their cleaner. But I'm still trying to work out some details. So once I know more, I'll share it with you guys.
Okay.
Is that the library, senior center, that building?
Yes, correct. I think it's mainly the library.
We need to talk about that when we do budget with the finance committee.
Okay.
Reports or updates?
I have a few. So the state, they call it the cherry sheet. That's basically the amount of state aid that we receive from the state. The numbers are sort of right in line with what it's been in the past, around 2.2%. The bigger increase that we did see was the property exemptions that we give to veterans.
Yeah.
We give veterans like a tax break on their property taxes. The state actually kicks in money to make up for that difference, so it's kind of a wash. But that number has increased over last year, so it looks like more and more veterans.
Okay, my understanding was, and I heard this in another meeting, that the state doubled the amount that you could give them as an exemption.
You could. That is
But-
that's a local option that we have not adopted yet.
Because they don't give you any money towards that.
Correct.
You have to fund that yourself.
Correct. And and
This doesn't really help.
right. And then there were talks about you have to adopt that at town meeting, and actually there has been some talk about having that.
I mean, if it was voted, I don't, I think we would object if the taxpayers want to fund it. You know,
Right.
because everybody's appreciative of what the veterans have done.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The only problem is it's the increase in the exemption, it's not paid for by the state.
Right.
So we would have to foot the bill, and I would say it's right around 80,000 at the moment, somewhere around there. And there's also a second component to that, which is you can actually add a inflation factor as well. That's a separate measure to the
Yeah.
exemption.
Yeah.
So right now, I think the amount is $400, and it's probably been that amount for a number of years. So that 400 really doesn't get you that far year after year. But there's an option to add a CPI factor to it. So if inflation is 5%, then your exemption that year will go up by 5%. So it would continue climbing potentially year after year.
Veronica, is that something you would consider adding?
I would like to look at the budget as a whole before I make a statement one way or the other on that.
But would you look at that? Because that is an option for us to do for veterans?
We'll ask for the information. I'd say it's part of the bigger abatement plan and see what the
Okay.
total abatements are that we may be doing and the senior work
Okay.
Right.
There are a couple of programs.
I just want it on the radar.
Absolutely. No, I've heard some talk about it because it is, you know, it would be an additional benefit to the many veterans that we have here in town.
Mhm.
So, you see, free cash has been certified. The amount is $628,955. Significant increase from previous years. So,
And what has already been spent of that from town meeting,
let's
last
see.
week's town meeting?
So we had the two copiers, which is 13,900. 32,000 for the playground. What else?
There were others.
Yeah.
My rough estimate was around 60 that came out. Do you have one, Don?
I
I think I,
Yep, it's right around the $60,000.
thought that was from free cash because we hadn't had this certified.
it was certified prior to the meeting.
Right, it was certified prior to the meeting, but I thought we were working from the prior free cash from the info 23, not 2024. So this takes into account the free cash that had carried over.
I think the free cash that had carried over was rolled into the new free cash number. I don't think it's like last year's free cash and next year's free cash. I think whatever was free cash, you know, previously is rolled into this dollar amount.
Who certifies that?
The state,
The state does.
Bobby Joe.
That hasn't gone in.
So the state certifies our
Deal.
free cash, and you think that whatever was left from the year before gets rolled into what?
Yes,
Part of that.
yes.
That's actually a good distinction, and I actually don't know the definitive answer.
It's not a separate, we don't have, oh, we're spending this year's free cash and then we're spending that year's free cash.
Yeah,
We are spending free cash. So anything that came out prior to the current fiscal year came out of the free cash that was then. Then when they certify free cash, they look at everything that you've got. So if you had any free cash left last year, it gets rolled into this. This is the number. You can check on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Unless they change things.
They do.
Well, yeah.
They
it's true.
do.
So,
Well, it's a good
I
question.
had
It's
more
a
like,
question
absolutely.
to verify.
So, you know, it's a higher amount than it has been in previous years, so, you know, maybe we can, you know, put some into capital stabilization or, you know, replenish the stabilization fund, you know, above and beyond what was promised to you guys. But I know there's also some needs and wants that we're trying to address, so we're gonna have to sort of balance that.
Yes,
I'm not in favor of using every last penny of free cash.
we had $47,402.40. That's what that was my number from town meeting, but I might have missed something. But I.
So not only was the cherry sheets, released for the schools, it was, I mean, for the towns, it was also released for the schools as well. And so this is the
I have
kicker.
those, right? Yeah.
They got a 1.15% increase from the state.
It's
In
like
chapter,
nothing.
in their chapter 70, money from the state.
Here's the cherry sheet for North Middlesex. I didn't print for, oh yeah, I did print for Neshoba Valley, but yeah, it's not a lot. It's like they went from 21,446,665 to 21,694. I mean, it's like nothing.
It's $250,000
It's nothing.
on a 21.
For the regional school.
Yeah,
Correct.
1.15%.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to survive on that? I don't know.
Do we know the numbers that the gateway cities get?
You don't even want to look.
Okay.
So, just,
Is the tech school the same?
I didn't do, I did E&D on the tech schools. I didn't do cherry sheets for them. But I did look at E&D, what was in the E&D and a lot of the surrounding districts, just to see where North Middlesex falls out. But I did not do cherry sheet for them, so it's a little bit different.
they also didn't get a ton of money out of it.
Yeah.
Actually,
Anything regional,
They only got 1%.
yeah, anything regional didn't get much.
Yeah.
But our increase, the town's increase is 53,000. The number we were using was the old number.
Correct, yeah.
As opposed to the August
It gave me
number.
a scare. So
Okay.
we attended the Shoulder Valley Tech breakfast budget presentation last Friday.
Mhm.
And so let's see what my notes say here. So yeah, so our assessment went up by 53,000 and change, which equates to 3.77%.
Which is not
Not bad considering.
bad, given
so-
what it's been before.
So, we did see a decrease, I believe, of 3 students from
Mhm.
enrollment. Yeah, that increase.
For the tech or Neshoba? For the.
Neshoba
or
Tech.
North Middlesex? Oh, a decrease in, okay, so last year we had an increase there.
Yeah, I think was it over 10 students?
It was.
Yeah, it was a lot, I
Yeah.
think.
Yep.
And then, so this year we have a decrease.
Mhm.
Maybe graduated?
Probably, or it's hard to say.
You have to take all 4, the
Yeah.
incoming freshman
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
So there's some graduate.
What about Townsend? Last year we were 40 short,
I don't know. I haven't seen a presentation from the school committee.
for, North Middlesex. As far as our students in the high school.
Yeah.
Last year was 40 less.
Well, we have Thursday with them, so we'll find that out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of the presentation.
Oh, okay.
That shows the enrollment numbers. And so, let me see what else do I have. Most folks have probably received their Unitel bills for January, and I can confirm that the new aggregation rate is on there.
Yeah,
So,
and it is less.
yep. Also, all things being equal, if you use the same amount of electricity, you should see a decrease in your bills.
Mine was less. and the gas was exorbitant,
Huge.
right through the roof.
Because you keep it like a sauna at your house.
No, I don't. I told you, 62 to 64 is what my house is at. It's not at 68 or 70 or
Yeah.
72.
Yeah. I will say, since I've been here, a lot of folks have been concerned about their electricity bills. Unitel is certainly not the cheapest option around, but unfortunately they are the only option around. That's why, you know, the energy aggregation program that we have worked hard on should provide some savings to folks. But I've heard many people complain about their electricity bills, you know, upwards of $600-800 a month, which is
Huge.
pretty substantial. I haven't heard too much about the gas bill, but hearing about yours, it's
Oh,
not,
I sent you mine.
it's not a small amount either.
No, it's not.
So, you know, unfortunately, we don't set electricity or gas rates. It's done at the state level in Boston with the Department of Public Utilities. There are periods of comment when utility companies want to increase their rates. I don't know how much it really helps, but nonetheless, there are.
They do notify everybody.
Yeah, you can. I don't know if you need to go into Boston to do it, or you can do
No,
it
I think there's
virtually.
a comment period.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if their sites work, to tell you the truth, because they seem to be all getting upgrades that don't work.
Yeah.
Um,
Got a couple more things. This was an interesting one from Pepperell. So I don't know if you ever heard of it or not, but it's called preambulation, which is, I guess there are some old school boundary markers between Pepperell and Townsend. And I guess every so many years, you're actually supposed to walk.
That is correct.
Walk it, to, you know, get eyes on it and see if it needs to be repaired. So we've been invited, I think, starting in March to join Pepperell to do the,
walk?
I'm in.
Yep. All the corners have been, you know, put in GIS so they know exactly where it's located.
Oh,
So it's usually town officials or whoever's interested in doing it, maybe the historical society folks. So it was brought to my attention. It sounded pretty interesting.
yeah, Dave?
So
A little history behind that. Perambulating the bounds is one of the oldest tasks that the Board of Selectmen of any town is supposed to engage in. Basically, it's verifying that nobody's encroaching on your borders. The last time that I know of that officially perambulated was in 1998.
Oh,
On my own, I went out, got myself a fancy GPS device years ago, and I located all but 2 of Townsend's bounds with modern GPS coordinates. There's some very interesting ones that are out in the middle of nowhere in the woods.
usually it is a piece
It's
of
a lot
stone.
this type of-
Yeah, usually it is,
my kind of thing.
usually it is a piece of stone that
did they
has,
do it all in one day?
I think that kind of stuff is interesting.
No?
I think they do like on a weekend.
Yeah, they probably more than once. It depends.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just the Pepperell bound, right? Not the,
Yeah, for doing all the towns, and it would be.
it'd be pretty quick.
Most of the stones are about 4 or 5 feet tall and 18 inches square. For the state bounds, it's got NH on one side and it's got NA on the other.
I can actually show you where a couple of
They're
them are.
wicked neat to find and look at.
Yeah.
Some of them are very old.
So the ones that, you know, we would be participating in are the, you know, the boundaries between Pepperell and
In
Townsend.
Townsend, yeah, so it's just that line.
Yeah.
And so do we post when we do it? Because
Mm.
both of us will want to go?
I don't know.
It's a site walk, and site walks have different rules from the open meeting law. So we just can't.
Talk?
Well, we can talk. We can't, what's the word? deliberate. So we can't decide to move the boundaries. You and I could not. No, but you don't have to post it.
Okay, all right.
No.
So we were invited, so once I have more details, I'll share it with the board
Okay.
and whoever else wants to.
I learned that at the open meeting law training that I went to last week. Sidewalks don't need to be posted.
They
As
don't need to be
meetings.
posted.
As
The planning
meetings.
board has.
You can if you want to, but they do not need to be.
Where did you go for that?
It's an online that the AG's office does once or twice a month. You can go on the AG's website and find their trainings. So.
Okay.
And just one last thing for me. I'm going to be changing how I deal with town hall and snow delays and closures. My initial thoughts were I would sort of follow what the school district would be doing. But in the 3 times I've delayed the opening of town hall, by the time I get here at, I usually am here at like 8:15, 8:20. Just yesterday, the roads were completely clear. So for town hall to open at 11 didn't make a lot of sense to me, given how clear the roads were, which is a testament to, our highway department.
And you follow the school, so you send out your notice the same time they do.
Yeah, as soon as I get it,
5:30 in the morning.
I send it out. For me, my initial thinking was I'll put the decision-making burden on them, and I just follow what they what are saying. But I think for town hall operations, it's kind of a disruptive thing to, have a delay of that nature when the roads are perfectly fine. So what I'm gonna do is take everything on a case-by-case basis. I'll work with highway first thing in the morning to see what the conditions really are and what they will be, and make a decision based off of that versus solely relying on the school district of making the decision for me.
The only place that it might, a lot of times the schools delay because of Ashby, who have more back roads and less plows than we do. So that's often the reason for it, but it still means that employees that have children won't be able to get into town hall because they have to put their kids on the bus or whatever.
Yeah, and I do realize that, and we can take those on a case-by-case basis, whether they shift their work schedule, take paid time off to deal with getting their kiddos on the bus. But I did reach out to my counterparts in Ashby and Pepperell, and so far this winter they have not delayed a town hall opening at all. And I've done it 3 times already. So again, I feel like I need to take things more on a case-by-case basis versus solely relying on the school district, because
I think you should have the discretion.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I am good with
And,
that, just so long as there is an exception made for people that have childcare issues based on the closure by the schools.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they can either shift their work schedule around either for that day or that week, or take pay time off,
or work from home.
Yeah, or some combination thereof. But I do know most employees, they live in town, which is at most 5 or 10 minutes away. But I'm looking to balance employee safety as well as town hall operations, so that the public can come in and do business, here. So
I appreciate that.
of course, thank you. And Thursday will be interesting because there's a storm brewing, and
early release.
I'm thinking it might have to be.
It's 3 to 5. I think that one says 3 to 5.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might have to be probably an early release. It's not now supposed to start until 9 or 10 in the morning. It's going to pick up in the afternoon. So depending on the conditions, I'll probably.
Turn the rain.
Out here, it said mix, so
yeah,
I don't know if they'll cancel, but
Yeah.
What about our meeting though?
It could be canceled if we close the town hall. If town hall closes or if the school
Thursday?
aren't gonna hold it because of their.
Virtual.
But it's virtual,
It is
right?
virtual, but they could be meeting at the school and presenting with their equipment. I don't know if there's a. No, they weren't coming here. We were coming here to do it as a
A
joint
group.
meeting with,
Mhm.
a
I
single.
wasn't.
But we could all go from home,
Yeah.
you know,
Looking
as long
under,
as this guy's running.
looking, on the meeting information, I believe they built in a backup day.
Did they?
Yeah.
Do you know what day that is?
Let me look at the agenda right now. I remember looking at this today. Let me see.
You have, Sabrina, do you have Thursday posted? Yes. Joint with, okay, and you do remember that I told you that I'll be on at 6 for part of it because I have MRPC exam.
The snow date is Monday, 10th.
And then,
Correct.
same day as,
At 6, correct?
oh, the 10th of
That's a Monday.
February.
That's a
Yeah.
Monday.
Okay.
So that's the snow day. But I think it's supposed to,
That day.
I think it's supposed to clear out by then, the weather, but I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, just one last thing. I had mentioned the Municipal Empowerment Act that the governor is trying to enact. There's a whole bunch of stuff in it, and there's a wide range of things she's looking to do. But one of the more pertinent ones, and I think for Townsend, is they're looking to increase the local meal tax. Because right now it's 6.25% or 6.5%. You can increase it to 7%. So that should bring in a little bit of extra revenue.
You can also increase excise tax.
It is a surcharge.
Yeah, and you can, it's a school bus thing. That I've looked at, districts can have their own school buses now as opposed to using companies or something like that.
They're looking to make that change where you could start your own
Bus company?
So we could have North Middlesex buses as opposed to, which might help us to control things somewhat. I don't know. It's hard to say.
yeah, because at the school budget meetings,
It's nothing that would happen tomorrow.
there's always complaints about every year, there's only one bidder for the school bus
Right.
contract.
Nobody wants to do it.
No, it's because it's more like a monopoly thing. Like nobody's going to bid against anybody else, and that's, you know, it's a territorial thing, I should say.
Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, essentially they can charge what they want, but at the same time, I don't think they're not gonna, you know, bump up the fees by 20% or something like that. But there's no competition, so you don't know what kind of pricing you would get. So I think the Municipal Empowerment Act.
Unless there's grants for buses, how are the schools gonna get their own buses?
well, it's nothing that's going to happen tomorrow.
Right
but,
now, this failed to make it through, a vote last year.
do we know when the vote's going to be this year?
No, it's not scheduled yet.
I didn't
They
see
just
anything.
released it this week, that's on the notification.
Yeah, so
Right.
it's hard to say when they're gonna vote on it. These things take a long time.
I don't think we can count on it for next year's budget,
No, you
but
can't.
perhaps the year after.
But yeah, so those are some of the highlights. There's a litany of things that she's looking to accomplish in this Empowerment Act, and those are just some of the highlights I just mentioned. So figured I would share it with everyone.
4.2, reports from board liaisons.
I'm just gonna say that, federal grants, if we have federal grants for anything, I think we should make sure we've checked the status of that.
Oh.
Fire department, police department,
Actually, that was what I wanted to
anywhere
talk about.
else.
Okay, would you,
Yeah, I will. Last week when President Trump decided to freeze all federal disbursement funds, everyone was very worried what the implications of that would be. And then I think a couple days ago, he rescinded that.
I still think people should look and make sure that they have not missed an email that said you need to file a report or you need to have submitted for previously,
Mhm.
because although that did happen, it's possible that things are changing rapidly.
Mhm.
So it would be good to make sure that we're where we should be and that people are keeping an eye on it.
Yep, absolutely.
That's all.
Will do.
MRPC has it on their agenda as a discussion item.
Yeah.
Because it's all federal funded,
Right. Not all, I think, but mostly.
mostly. Very little is state.
Right.
I don't have anything except that I'm guilty of not getting my thoughts final to you regarding the moving around. So I'll
Moving
try to
around.
work on that.
The liaison.
The liaisons,
Oh,
just making sure the list is right out to the right people. And also, because some of them really don't have committees, or sometimes just one or two people, I guess I would like to know who it is and how to get in touch with them and what their reports are. Does each individual group have a report, an annual report?
Most, not all.
did you get the housing trust one? Do you know? Did you get the one for the housing trust?
I would have to check.
Okay, I wrote one and I sent it to Aaron and we were waiting for any comments back from others.
I will, look at that
Otherwise,
question
yeah.
soon.
Okay, thanks.
I'm gonna look at last year's and see how many we have. Anyway,
Who is writing, good point, who is writing the select boards? Who is? Me?
No.
You are.
Nelson.
Nelson is,
Wait, what am I-
okay. The
am I-
select board's annual report for the town.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yep.
Okay.
I haven't started it yet, but I'm formulating some thoughts.
Okay,
So,
good.
we can just do a draft and we'll chime in.
yeah, absolutely. And I've been looking at previous examples,
Okay,
of, how it's been
Mhm.
structured.
because
So,
there's almost 8 months that you weren't here of that annual.
right, so,
And so Sabrina should be able to help greatly,
Where-
because she was. And we'll just use memory. 5.3, announcements, communications, any more volunteer response forms?
No.
No, slow week. So I will announce again that there are lots of positions that are open for people who had not you guys, I thank all of you. To lend your expertise to help the community.
I would also note that board elected positions are all open. You can pull papers at the town clerk's office. On the website is listed all the positions that are open. And I can't remember the date, but it's like, if you get your papers by the end of February, you're in good shape.
Right.
I think it's that first Friday in March that they're due, or it could be
Well,
the
it's
second
beginning of
Monday.
March, so you have all of February to get your papers, take out your papers. And anybody who's interested can call either one of us, and we're happy to help you decide where you want to be. Okay. Next meeting, February 6th, which is Thursday, which is posted.
And I thought we had one February 11th as well. Didn't we add that?
I was gonna say,
finance.
It's a joint
It's a joint with
Yeah.
finance, so.
with finance, but it should be on here
But
as
it-
well.
It's kind of, I mean, it's every Tuesday and Thursday between now.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
so February 11th should be on here, February 13th,
Correct.
February 18th, February 20th, February 25th, and February 27th.
Correct. And then March 1st, then.
And I do have.
I think if we just stick with February, we're probably good enough.
Yeah, that's-
But I
that's
looked
a
at
lot.
this and I thought, only February 6th and February 18th, wait a minute. So,
The next meeting, not the next meeting.
yeah, just do, yeah. So change February 18th to February 11th. Because we have plenty in between there, and we have the 13th. Then we get to the 18th.
Somebody let me know so I can update links.
I will do it. I just sent you sent me the letters. I'll copy you as,
And we're using the same links
right, we're using the same.
for the most part.
Yeah,
I get a lot of changes get made and I don't get notified, and then I have to reissue some links.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah, I guess the 6th and the 18th, the 6th is joint with the school committee.
Yeah.
The 18th is our next regular meeting. So that's probably why they're on there, and it doesn't count all the joint meetings for budget stuff.
right.
Yeah,
That one does not post.
yeah.
For FinCom and the select board, that's finance. Oh, we have, fire, TEMA, police, and animal control
Yeah.
that night.
I sent out eight notes to them. There was a
Okay,
lot of other that I have to capture for the others and send out, but the rest of the department heads will get the invitation. I sent those
Okay.
invitations
thank you.
Monday.
I'm glad you're sending those. We don't have to.
5.5, review and sign payroll and bills payable warrants out of session. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And I'll second. And any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Kell, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes. 6.1, executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A2, to conduct strategic session in preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel regarding interim town clerk position. Is there a motion?
And I move to enter into executive session at 7:19 and adjourn from executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A2, to conduct a strategy session in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel regarding the interim town clerk position.
Second. Any comments? Discussion? No? Yeah. Roll call,
Veronica Cal, yes.
and Laura Schiffern, yes. Thank you all.
All right, thank you all.